Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I am your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of Heroclix. Now, for those of you that actually look at the screen, maybe for 15 seconds, what do you notice that is different? Just look, sort of examine what's there in front of your eyes. Yes, that is a logo. It's a new logo. I did not design it. I got it from a gift from Mr. Joachim Adler. So big ups to Joachim Adler. Mad props to you, sir. If you notice that I have improved movement, that when I see walls, I break through them. So that gives you a big hand clap right there. Big hand clap. So yeah. So anyway, uh, it's a nice day outside in Kansas City, and I'm in here recording a podcast. True nerd cred right there. It's a little chilly. I don't know what's going on. I've never seen a April this cold that felt like February. But anyway. All right, on today's podcast, you might say, Dark Logos, are we going to talk about the pack? Are we going to talk about things that you have found? Are we going to talk about all that cool jazz that's going to be the future of Heroclix so that when it comes out, we can crush our enemies and hear the lament of their women? No, we're not going Conan on that. What we are going to do is we're going to look at No Man's Land Month 6 because that is coming up, and I do want you all to be prepared. And in true fashion, I will say, hey, y'all, if you're serious, you need to be practicing your team. I don't know the map for No Man's Land Month 6, but I bet I can, in sometime during this podcast, I can find it. And we can sort of have a nice little conversation from there. Yeah. And with magical digital mastery, I actually find the link. Anyway, there's some cool stuff, really cool stuff with the No Man's Land map. I think it's like the Fun House, like one of Joker's Fun House. Now note there are some other things that you can get. Is like the Penguin resource dial. That was unexpected. Didn't see that coming. And what else? Yeah, the cow. I called it on the cow that you would get Batman team ability, so you would get stealth. So yeah, that's pretty much cool. If you already have Batman TA, you get to pretty much just get Hand and League of Assassins ATA on top of that. So yeah, that's pretty good. But anyway, sort of looking at the map, you're going to notice some very interesting things. Okay, first off, your starting areas. Your starting areas are I think it's 5x5 starting areas instead of that 2x10 starting area. So yeah, you got like that 5x5 starting area, which is pretty nice. But it also means that you're going to be dealing with a couple of complications. First off, one of the starting areas is on elevated terrain. So if you do want to, post up and snipe, that can give you some advantages. The other starting area is on lower terrain, elevation 1. So the implications of that really is that, well, first off, if you're on the one with higher elevations, there's some places that you can take shots off, but not everything is clean. And if I look more closely, yeah, there's spots that are not just clean targets because leading up to the higher elevation starting area, there is a indoor terrain. So there's outdoor map area, and then there's indoor parts. And so leading up to that other starting area is a bunch of indoor terrain, which sucks because you can't shoot into that. The next thing, well, you have to blow down walls, but who wants to spend that much time blowing down walls? Because you do have a lot of walls to blow down. The next thing to note is if you look at a second way of approaching, there's a lot of elevation 1 and 2 from the grounded starting area that you can move to. And if you're having problems, just Google No Man's Land Month 6 Heroclix into I think, yeah, I just Googled it into, No Man's Land Month 6 map Heroclix into Google. Or I'm starting to use DuckDuckGo because DuckDuckGo doesn't track me. So I'm just saying. Anyway, so if you look really, really closely, you could also approach using indoor terrain, going of variations of elevated and elevation 1 to get to that second elevated starting area. Now here is where this gets really, really bad for some people. There's like 1, 2 slots in this whole place that no, 3 and 4. There's 4 places, 5. Okay, I found 5. 5 places where you could actually get a clear shot. Like just bam, shooting is good. The first is if you're on elevation, the elevation 2 starting area, directly to the left. If you're looking at the picture on figures.com, pause it if you need to, and then come back to me. All right. There's elevated terrain that you can shoot off to. Then there's elevated terrain directly in front of the starting area when you go into the bumper cars. Okay, if you go to the left of that, there's a general area in between the checkered room and the bumper cars that you can get a straight shot off. And there's like 1 line of terrain within the checkered room that you can actually get some shots off. 2. Okay, so that is not a lot of goodness for range. Okay, and that's it's good, frustrating, however you want to put it. But what it does mean is that we're going to have some complications. The next thing that's even more interesting is when you look at the element of when the map flips. It's just pretty much the Joker takes over and wrecks the park. Now, what gets better and well, let me rephrase that. What changes? From what I can see, not much. You can look at up at the top, square 3B is now water terrain when it wasn't before. Well, the Joker sign changes, but that's okay. There's really nothing distinct about that. The bumper car layout changes, but I don't think that impacts anything really. Other than that, everything's really pretty much the same unless there's something going on in the checkered room that I can't see. Okay. Yeah, I can't see it. Anyway, so pretty much no, there's some place that was a wall that's broken. Yeah, that's it. So there's very little changes that matter, okay? Now, the next thing that we have to look at is what type of range values is actually good. I would say about 6. I would say going over 6, you're overpaying just a tad for every range over 6. There's only a few spots that you can get those shots off. Okay, so I think that when we look at the map, we can come to the conclusion that there is a lot of very solid stuff there. At the same time, I think that we are in for a big melee battle, a really big melee battle, and I really wasn't expecting that. So, good thing I did scrap the old show, or else a lot of advice I would be giving you would cause you problems. Also, I want to note something very, very, very interesting. I want you to, for all of those who are fans of the show, I want you to look at your cop car. Okay, really look at your cop car. All right, the next thing that I want you to do is look at this map and ask yourself, how many places legally can you function with your cop car? Just ask. Okay. Now, the next thing I want you to say is, how functional is a cop car? Yeah. This map is scary because what it means is that for another year in a row, multi-base figures will not be a major threat at Gen Con. And this, I thought, like this might be the year of the cop car. Not with this map. If this map gets put in the lineup, this is no different than, what was it? Not Bizarre World. And all you guys that want your Justice League figures, if you want to hose Justice League and Teen Titan team dials, here's your map. Because for them to even get placed into legal squares, they're going to have some problems. And if you just duck and dive in between walls and stuff, you can just avoid them. This map is horrendous. So your cop cars, yeah, I would have said they were viable if I didn't see the map, but they are not viable. Now, I mean, feel free to disagree, and write me why you disagree, because I really want to see that analysis. Not to be snarky or anything, I really don't do that on the show. But I'm looking at 1, 2, 3 areas for a cop car to park, which means that whenever you do your move action, you have to be able to get every piece of your cop car to that legal square, which I think if someone's hiding out inside the checker room or even the bumper car room, you can't get to them. I mean, well, no, I'll take that back. You could get to them, but your movement is going to be very, very constrained. So, I'll say this. Vehicles go from, A, top of the list, to like B to C, play with your own, at your own peril, sort of thing. If that makes any sense at all. Okay, so definitely go to figures.com, because there's some things on there that just got overlooked in the general conversation. Definitely look at handcuffs. Characters can use plasticity. Opposing characters adjacent to this character modify their attack values by -1. So that's the relic. And then handcuffs on resource. Give this character a close combat action that deals no damage. If it hits, the target character may be given power action to roll a d6, but cannot be given any other actions until it rolls a 4 through 6 for this artifact. So that's a pretty good effect. But yeah, I definitely would say check out the back computer the back cave dial, and then definitely look at the penguin dial, because that looks like all sorts of awesome right there. As soon as I can decipher it and figure out what it does, it's on. But until that day comes, until that comes, I will just sit here and look at it. But yeah, it's a 10-point resource. And then also, just for some clarifications, with the penguin resource dial, what this really does show us that you can now have characters act as resource dials, which is sort of cool. So that we also mean that there's a possibility in the future that we can see a calculator resource dial, a Oracle resource dial, heck, even Martian Manhunter. I mean, just think about it. I mean, it's sort of cool. So, well, maybe not Martian Manhunter because he actually uses a whole bunch of clicks, but Amadeus Cho, maybe. Anyway, so let's go in and start looking at what's hot and what's not. Um, I will say this: I'm not going to mention Teen Titans for one of two reasons. One, we don't have all the Teen Titans out yet. We got a good chunk of it spoiled, but we don't have all of it. The next thing is, and in all honesty, venues are going to be doing one or two formats. Either they're going to do Batman: The Streets of Gotham Constructed. If they by chance have any Batman or Streets of Gotham product left, it's going to be sealed. Or it's going to be Teen Titans sealed. And I don't think there's going to be too many venues that are going to do Batman Constructed without some sort of buy-in or some weird modification. Okay? Just saying. Now, if your venue does allow you to build a constructed force, then bam, we're in business. But a lot of the listings that I've seen, just because the prize kit is so expensive, it is just, yeah, most of these games have been sealed that I've looked at. So, if your game is not sealed, let me know. If your game is not sealed, let me know if you're able to do constructed. So for those who are able to do constructed, let's get into the meat of this. I know I've sort of waxed on for the last 17 minutes. All right, first up is Batman. Now, historically, I wasn't really a fan of him. On this map, at the 200-point value, or the 100-point value, it's okay. And the main reason I'm saying this is there is enough walls on the map for you to destroy, for you to have hindering terrain. Even though there's very, very, very little printed hindering terrain. What this also means is that if you play him at 200, your whole team can be Batman if you build your team right. But at the same time, that advantage is not as strong. Let's just say that the Joker knows that the bat flocks in the night and is in around every shadows, and he's made good precaution to make sure that his whole realm is lit up like a Christmas tree, literally. So think about Batman. I would say on a A, B, C, D, F scale, I would say that he's probably about a B. Low B. Moving on, we're going to look at Arkham City Guard. If you don't like capture ability, I don't know what to tell you. 45 points for capture. Not having to fear the cop car as much is a big deal. So that is something to consider. Also, another thing that you really want to think about is if you're playing a 500 or 600 point game, getting Arkham City Guard back to the starting area on the tail end of a motorcycle is going to be really easy, really, really easy. So that's something else to consider. Next up is my man Hired Henchman, and we're going to use his defend support dial with Flurry and looking good. When the boss is 6 or fewer squares away, modify Hired Henchman's attack and defense values by +1. This by far is a great piece to have. I would even say think about 2. And they will serve your team very well. Next up, I will present you the idea that the one prime that sort of stands out that didn't really stand out before is Selena Kyle. And yes, her ability to take relics from other characters is now a big deal because, hey, if your opponent does try to play Batman shenanigans and pop off parts of the utility belt for his other teammates to have, then Selena Kyle could have her uses to take off those advantages from your opponent, and so that she may have them. So it's something to consider if you have one. I wouldn't try to force it. Now, the 10 attack and the leap climb and the shape change, that's okay. It does work on this map. But I would say you can do a little bit better, but she does have her purposes for her to be considered. Now, I know some people would say that, like, hey, Dark Logos, would you then consider Catwoman? I would say yes and no. Yes, if you're going to actually, play around with her misdirection. Or even use, let's see, what is it? We leave the mask on. If you're really going to use that, then yeah, then go for it. Other than that, stat-wise, she really isn't justifiable. So, like, I would give her like a C. But yeah, she's worth considering. Now, there's some characters you might say, well, why did you say about them, this person, that person? They will be good in new meta. And in another show, maybe even the next show, I could even talk about that. But they are not the best thing right now in the meta and the rules that are going to be in place. Now, I will also say this. If you deal with a place like Dan wants to poll his players to see if they want to start playing with new rules now. So if your venue does that, then it's a whole new ball game then. Okay, moving on. Next up for our lovely consideration is Nightwing. Charge, flurry, 3 damage. I mean, enough said right there. He has full dial flurry, and I don't think a lot of folks understand how strong that is. Definitely when he has Quake 2, flurry and Quake with characters that don't have against all these walls. That's 3 damage twice if you do it right. So definitely consider Nightwing. He's been strong before. He's been a high meta contender since he's come out. He's a A+ character, so definitely don't overlook him. Next up, I'm going to bring up is Aaron Cash. Now, why am I bringing up Aaron Cash? Because there's so much melee, and the ranges are so small. His whole lead by example, where he could give an adjacent friendly character +1 until the end of the turn when they make a close combat attack. Modify their attack value. I think that is really, really useful considering of how much combat reflexes we are going to see. So definitely consider him just so that you can have a little bit more oomph for your Nightwing or your No Man's Land Batgirl or anyone along those lines. So Aaron Cash is valuable, and it's one of those situations that you need to know what your formation is. Having Indomitable is also a great thing. And I mean, just for the pure fact that this trade is a free action, that you don't have to do a power action to do it, means that you can always get him into position. So that's a big thing to think about. All right, moving on. Beast Boy Pterodactyl. Now, I sort of wish that this was like a backdoor into sort of bringing other Beast Boys in. Depending on your venue's view of sideboard, it could possibly be, but I'm assuming that it's not. But mainly the big thing that I look at with Beast Boy Pterodactyl is that it allows you to have a decent flyer that can transport, uh, a good amount of figures um, with them if they share a keyword. Which Teen Titans, there's a couple of Robins in here that are not that bad for you to consider. So that's something to think about. Or you could just say, hey, I want a decent 60-point taxi / tie-up piece that can turn into that Aqua, Beast Boy. I'm into the Dolphin Beast Boy. So there's plenty of stuff that you can do with the Beast Boy, and I think it's going to be really useful. Next up is KG Beast. This sucker is going to be a monster. And why is that? Because his range is situational. And having a situational range means that he can be, you're not really paying full price for his range. First off, he has that prosthetic weapon. KG Beast can use Blaze Claw's fangs. Pretty much, he can get up to 4 damage, and then with blades, and then if he does 1 or 2 on blades, it's penetrating damage, so it's always good. So he always does damage. His long distance sniper power on his first 3 clicks is awesome because it pretty much says he has a range of 8 when he occupies hindering terrain. You can blow out hindering terrain all you want and just put him in a position where he can snipe people. Team him up with David Kane, and all of a sudden he has an 11 attack and just shooting folks. So, and then he modifies his attack values by +2 when making ranged combat attacks. So his 10 attacks goes to a 12. So definitely consider him. He's able to be carried. Yes, he has leap climb, but he has so many options that you can use. And then also you have to consider this. You can use Smoke Cloud. Put Smoke Cloud down because it doesn't give -1 yet, people. And he could just sit in Smoke Cloud and pop a shot off. So just think about that. All right. Next up is another figure I think that will be really useful, and that's Batgirl. And it's not Gooper Rang's Batgirl. It's Barbara Gordon Batgirl. Running shot, and then I still have a few tricks in my belt with her Incapacitate and Smoke Cloud. And the pure fact that her Incapacitate, they can't ignore pushing damage, which is really, really good considering you have a ton of Indomitable and Willpower in this between Streets of Gotham and Batman set. So she also has Perplex and her own Willpower. So I actually do believe having 2 of these is a good thing. I know some people would say like, oh, that's a little bit excessive. Look at the map. The map is very close quarters and small. Having 2 characters with 5 range and knowing that you're not paying for a high amount of range, and then also being able to, force people to take pushing damage, that's pretty good. So just think about Batgirl. Next up is Roy Raymond Jr. And the main reason I bring up Roy Raymond Jr. is you can catch somebody outside of Henry Terrain, and then the ability that he can negate everyone's team abilities with his special power, that is just ridiculous. And I'll read it to you. Hell of a detective. Roy Raymond Jr. can use Outwit. He can use it normally or counter a team ability as if it was a power. When he does, all opposing characters that possess the chosen ability have that team ability countered. Having problems with Batman? Countered. Having problems with outsiders? Countered. And he has outsiders himself. So he can deal with stat modifications. So that's another positive as well. So I really think that Roy Raymond Jr., when you start looking at his negation abilities, is worth considering. Definitely, you also have to look at, because the map is the way it is, you're going to be getting into close quarters a lot. So it might actually be better, just to make sure you get Roy Raymond Jr. into adjacency with opposing characters, so that he can A, outsiders one character, and then B, use his I have a theory, the lower the defense of another character that's adjacent, so that he can pretty much act at some level of control. So that's something also to consider. Moving on, Zealot. Like I said, close combat situations, her charge, flurry, indom. Uh, she is definitely worth having. Uh, I sort of look forward for seeing her being used in the future um, with a lot of the different power combinations that she has. So anyway, definitely with those combat reflexes will allow her to stay alive against most of the characters in this set. And the one thing that you will note, there really isn't a lot of upfront 11 attack or a whole lot of upfront 12 attack. And because of that, we're actually seeing something quite interesting, is that those combat reflexes are really deadly against those 10 attacks. So um, something to think about. Next up, I'm going to throw this out there, and I know some people might think that this is a little bit silly. I'm going to throw Godiva out there, and the main reason that I'm going to throw Godiva out there is because we are in this close combat situation. She does have plasticity. Yes, I know it doesn't do much as what it will in the future, but entangling hair, Godiva can use incapacitate. When she does, she can use the great reach ability and may target all opposing characters she can attack with the close combat attack. Now, here's why this is a big deal. If you look back at the map, what you will see is that there's a lot of places where people are going to be choked up. So you can have Godiva behind a couple of characters, and she would be able to great reach and hit multiple characters with incapacitate, or just hit them. So I think just because of the way the map is set up, that Godiva is a consideration. Definitely once you're looking at your last few 80, to 100 points. Now, yes, is she soft? Heck yeah. Oh, really soft. And are you really trying to keep her on top dial? Pretty much yes. But she does have the ability just to cause major problems for your opponent. Just because you're able to position her back behind your super big tanks and other pieces that they can't get to her while she's just incapacitating people. Okay? So, also, I need to find out if you use Giant Reach. Yeah, it would be Giant Reach because it would be a melee attack. Your combat reflexes would kick in. So, next up is Alfred Pennyworth. If I have to explain why Alfred is good, we have a whole different problem. So much stuff that he should not have. So much stuff at 42 points. Gosh, this dude is broken. Definitely play him. Now, I will also say this. Because cop cars aren't as viable, his role on most of your teams is a little bit more suspect now. I'm not saying that there's a whole lot of characters that could just burst down other characters, but if you find like the right combinations of support and Nightwing and Batgirl from Batman set and the No Man's Land Batgirl, you can do crazy amounts of damage in a turn. Yeah, so there's some things to consider. Um, with all the leap climb and other stuff, can people get back to Alfred? Yeah, they can. And is Alfred sort of safe on this map? Yeah, he is. Uh, the big issue I see with Alfred really comes in is if and only if you're forced into a close combat situation in the checkered room, and then someone gets around a wall and flanks you, then Alfred's a little bit in trouble. But other than that, he's pretty much golden. So you don't really have to worry about Alfred. Next up is Big Barda. Now, at one point in time in my analysis, I thought that her viability went down just because of the cop cars. No, 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 and once again, no. With this map, she is deadly because she can initiate her double power action from anywhere, and you can't stop her. She can maneuver all around weirdest circumstances possible and get to her target. If you're going to play Big Barda, though, I will say you definitely need Alfred for the main reason that you want to be able to guarantee that she's on top click when she goes out to do her double power action. Also, for the pure fact that you can bump up her attack or damage. Did Big Barda come back and say, I'm still queen of this set? Yes, she did with this map. She's like, who's your mama now? Bam! Freaking mega rod to the face. So don't underestimate her. Don't sleep on her. There's not a lot of psychic blast running around. Like, really do remember that. You're stuck to using outwit. And if you can't get line of sight on her, there's no way that you're going to be able to get rid of her damage reduction. So she's a lot more tankier than she was previously. And I think there's a lot of very strong meta that will be coming from her. So your main practice teams, I must say, you have to be able to beat a Big Barda team. So when you practice your team, be like, bam, I got a Big Barda team over there. I'm going to practice beating that Big Barda team. Okay? Next up is Poison Ivy. And some of you, again, you're going to be like, what? Dark Logos, are you on that stuff, man? No, I'm not on that stuff. Okay? I am offering you valid things to consider. Now, the main reason that we're thinking about Poison Ivy is that she has mind control and she gets +1 to attack when she mind controls. And then also, since she has Batman enemy, we can make her initial attack a 10 or 11, either using another Batman enemy or David Kane. So we can look at that like just off the bat. The next thing that we can look at is just for the pure fact that she can do Smoke Cloud, and immediately after she uses Smoke Cloud, choose one of the hindering terrain markers placed by the power and deal 1 damage to each character occupying or adjacent to it. Okay, so she can use her Smoke Cloud and then deal damage to other characters that are in the Smoke Cloud. And then pretty much be put in a position where she can, just protect herself really well or protect your stealth people. Now, I will say this. This is where I question is, would you be able to hurt your own people? Because if so, there's some potential in the future for Poison Ivy and a couple of other teams that I would have for like really, really fast activations. Like ridiculously fast activations. But, that's yet to be seen. So when we definitely look at being able to put out Smoke Cloud on this very, very tight map, you could really just lock down a bunch of grounded characters. And I don't think a lot of people realize how much grounded characters there are in the set. And just by putting Smoke Cloud down, you would really, really limit their movement. All right. Moving on. I wanted Rocket Red to be awesome, but he can be awesome, but just not exactly perfect in this set. I mean, in this fight. There's not a lot of hindering, like I said before, but it's the pure fact that you're paying for his very long range, and okay damage, but you're mainly paying for his long range. That I think he's a little bit overcosted for this game. Um, I so wanted him to be awesome too. I really wanted him to be awesome, but you know, I'm a responsible person. I tell you what's true, what's good. Going on. Um, now, this one's just for utility. If you want to play Batwoman, you just if you're looking for a tie-up piece and a character that can use Perplex or Outwit, that's the only thing that I would use her for. I wouldn't use her for anything else really. I don't think she's as valuable as some other pieces, but I do think she is usable. Next up is the Bruce Wayne Prime. That sucker is strong, really strong. Um, you have the ability to deal with stealth. You have support. You have shape change. You have outwit. You have a lot of elements that allow you to stay in the fight permanently. You combine him with a hired henchman, and you are going to tick off your opponent. Really, really bad. Really, really, really bad. So definitely think about Bruce Wayne. Now, note, he has Psychic Blast on clicks 2 and 3. I really wouldn't push to get that. If I would just be like, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I definitely wouldn't push to get Psychic Blast on click 2, or push again to try to get it on click 3. I think that's a bad idea. You're entering the danger zone big time. Also, he can copy. Being a calculator gives him some added bonuses, so I think that's to be considered as well. My next pick, I mainly am listing it just because of the nature of the map, not because of anything else. And that's August General and Irons. August General and Irons can be very, very forceful. He can get into all those little close combat spaces and do tons of damage. The problem with August General and Irons is his click 4 regen and his low attack values. Like, he drops off on click 4 and he doesn't come back. So you're really paying for those first 3 clicks. The enhancement, I really don't like that, but oh well. Indomitable is nice. Him being a flyer is also nice. Like I said, he is considerable for the map. The map does favor close combat. And also he has Quake. You know, and the Quake is penetrating damage. So he can really be a very strong formation buster, but you're going to invest a lot of your support powers in making sure that he goes off. This is another mixed bag for me because before I would have been like automatically in. Now I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know. And that's Halo. I wasn't a fan of her from the start, but with this map in particular, if we really look at it again, where are we TKing from? Where are we TKing to? My opponent can hide from me if they choose to. So is TK as valuable? And so that's what I want you to figure out. I would say think about her if your team involves you deploying quickly and retreating quickly. So you're deploying out there, shooting, charging, running, you know, all sorts of craziness, and then bat signal out. Then yeah, there you go. Otherwise, I would just say like she's worth letting go. You don't even have to think about her. Lucius Fox, you disappoint me so much, but I have to mention you because you're cheap perplex. In the future, you are really useless, Lucius Fox. Other Lucius Fox will have your place. Moving forward, the next character that I think can be interesting is Geoforce, just for the fact that his little Mega Fist can be useful just to make things annoying. But that's mostly it. I think there better stuff for you to play, yes, but he hits all the right notes for long enough. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. He hits all the right notes for long enough. The next this next one is questionable, and the main reason I say it's questionable because it all depends on how you're going to actually use him, and that's Doctor Phosphorus. And for the pure fact that you can have a delayed poison and use him to tie up a bunch of pieces, and there not being a lot of damage reduction is key. You just can't ignore it. I mean, I wanted to, but you can't ignore it. Now, his starting attack is stupid. It's stupid, but it's the only reason why he's as cheap as he is. Next up for our consideration is Mr. Freeze. Now, Mr. Freeze is an interesting case. Now, the thing with Mr. Freeze is that he is a tad bit expensive. Just a tad. But barrier on this map is ridiculously... Oh, no, yes. Yeah, he gets barrier, I think. Yeah, Mr. Freeze can use barrier and incapacitate. When he uses barrier, modify his range by +3. And after actions resolve, he may use incapacitate as a free action, targeting opposing characters adjacent to the blocking terrain markers with a close combat attack. Yeah. That is definitely on this map with so many choke points. Imagine that all you have to really say is, guess what? You were planning to flank me from here, but I pretty much barriered you off and I incapacitated you. So not only are you not really wanting to come through here, I slowed you down and possibly gave you pushing damage. And oh yeah, on top of all of that, I sort of decided it was a good idea my next turn to push to shoot your guys. A lot of stuff there. But that is the back end of his dial. Really, it's the second half of his dial. Now, up front, he gets strategic targeting, and Mr. Freeze can use ranged combat expert. When he does, he may target multiple targets. And so, with 6 range, there is a lot that he can do. And then definitely when you start on that elevated starting area, he can just be placed up there and, take pot shots. And if you want to bring the fight to that area. So that's something else to think about. I'm going to mention this character, and I know I've poo-poo plattered all over this guy, but he is finding a new value for me, and that is Socialist Red Guardsman. At 78 points for a 500 or 600 point game, he can be useful, and he can do enough on clicks on clicks 2 and 3. I think really are his better clicks. Now the enhancement is okay. I think the fact that he's 7 clicks deep and a little bit of damage reduction will allow him to survive a little bit longer in some of these fights. He can at least get back to the medic. Now his trait, I'm just sort of ignoring that right now. And then you're going to say, like, well, wait, man, it becomes penetrating damage, and then this, that, and the other, and don't half his range value on Pulse Wave. Okay. That's good, decent stuff. I think there's better stuff. But I like I said, I think it's interesting tech. I think it's useful. But I will say, if you don't play him, I'm not going to be crushed. Moving on. This is going to be funny, mainly because he's not that good otherwise if it wasn't for that all the walls, and that's Remac. Remac is not good. He's really crappy. And yes, Barta can scare the fire out of him. Okay? But for Remac, if you really look closely at him, outside of his force reconfiguration clicks, his top dial, if he plays that perfectly, there are very few things in between Batman and Streets of Gotham that could really touch him. Just in all honesty, if he plays his stick and move right, he can get away from anybody. Now, part of his stick and move has to be he's going to have to hide behind characters. So you better dedicate to some points for hiding behind walls. You're going to have to. Okay. But again, it's like I wouldn't normally think he's a good character, and 9 times out of 10 he's not. And this is that 1 time out of 10 that he is actually good. So take it as you like it. That's all I can tell you. Next up is Booster Gold. Attack and prob, duo attack. Definitely pushing on click 2 and trying to stay on click 2 is your goal. Him and Socialist Red Guardsman are good friends so that he can duo attack and go from 4 damage to 3 damage. And with the right outwit, he could burst down just about any standard character that you're going to be going against. So 1 outwit on Nightwing and a duo attack with 1 enhancement from Socialist Red Guardsman, and that's all she wrote for Nightwing. So really think about him for the duo attack. Running shot 1 turn, next turn duo attack. The prob is not shabby either. So, all right. Next up is Cape Crusader. And yes, you did hear me just smack my face. I hate the figure, but I can't ignore what it does. And it is perfect for this map. Yet at the same time, it is frustrating because there's so much of his elements that I wish didn't work well or wasn't extremely broken on this map that are extremely broken on this map. Multiple flocks of bats deploying, and then, depending on how you feel, you can pack, a bat signal, but you don't have to. You can pack, all sorts of other really, cool stuff, but you don't have to. All you have to do is pack Oracle, if they allow it, and the Oracle from the Fast Forces, and Bruce Wayne from the Gravity Feed, TK him out, move him with Oracle, have him charge Flurry, and swap with a flock of bats. Pure simple. So now, if your venue does not allow the utility belt, then he sort of downgrades a bit. Because every character technically can do what he can do with the bat signal. So it comes down to your team build. You really have to ask yourself, whatever I'm planning, is it so tight that I only have 2 points to spare, or is what I'm planning so tight that I need 7 to, I think it's like 14 points, and that makes my plan awesome. So it's up to you for you to figure out. Insider, and I'll bring up Insider real briefly. Insider can be good if you can get the bat belt on them and poison. Maneuvering just like all over the map and just carrying characters for free, that's pretty cool. And it could work pretty well on this map. GL Batman, not as awesome as I would have hoped. Let's not talk about Omega Batman. He's our black sheep. Then we're going to look at, I guess it's Suit of Sorrows Batman, the one that's 83 points, charge Flurry. Yeah, that sucker's beautiful. Think about playing him. Batman Family, I know. Armor, I know, but whatever. It's good stuff. Nightwing, Batgirl. I'm gonna lump Nightwing, Batgirl, and Batman, Nightwing duos together and just say, hey, if your points add up, bring those figures in after they've merged. Don't try to start off with them. Bring them in after they merge, and you will get the most out of them. Okay. Going on. Batman Zero R really dropped off, so I really don't think that he is as good as he looks. Yeah, I said it. Want to fight? I'm just kidding. Anyway, of course, I already talked about Bruce Wayne with his TK, and he also has Perplex, which is also a added bonus, and that's really definitely worth considering for your team. The Catwoman from the Gravity Feed is good if you have a Batman, so they can use support on each other, which it's all right. Then there's the Batgirl, who at 88 points is not bad with charge, energy explosion, as if she had two targets, and outwit. So overall, when we come to the vehicles, oh gosh, yeah, that's not your best bet anymore. Just because you're not guaranteed to land where you need to. So like your invisible jet is gone. Just because how confined it is, I don't see how the Blue Beetle can legally place itself in most of the squares. I really do mean that. There's so much space that it has to be in that, I mean, not the Blue Beetle, the bug, that I don't see how it's going to legally place, except in a very, very few situations. So that's another problem. Uh, so your vehicles, yep, they got nerfed, and I'm gonna say this. I don't know if all this was planned out from the beginning or right after the Batman set came out and all the shenanigans with the cop cars. Did Steve from wow, that's sad. All of a sudden, I can't remember the podcast from the AC Realms podcast. That's just bad. Anyway, Clickscast. If he just said screw it, I hate cop cars. I hate the bug. I hate all of it. You're not going to be able to use it. So, oh well. Anyway, that's pretty much it for Batman. Um, and so we're gonna move into Streets of Gotham really quickly because it's a little bit smaller set than the Batman set. So bear with me. I know we're approaching that hour mark, and some of you are like, "Oh my gosh, it's a whole lot, man. I can't take it all in. I can't take it all in." Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to AC Realms or use whatever little clicks program you have, and I want you to try to go back, click all the characters that I sort of mentioned off, and I will mention off. And then, when all's said and done, look at all those characters for yourself and then try to make your own analysis. Okay? If that helps you. And hey, people, if you need to put me on pause, take a coffee break, go outside, get some fresh air, hang out with friends, come back. Do it, man. Do it. You're not in school. You're not forced to sit at your desk. You can go out and play. Heroclix, it's a fun game, man. It's a fun game. All right, so let's go on to look at Streets of Gotham. Now, Streets of Gotham, I'm gonna just be blunt. We go from getting our major attackers from Batman to really getting like 85% of our secondary attackers and our support from Streets of Gotham. And in all honesty. All right, now starting off, I would say the GCPD officer if you're going to be packing a cop car. I don't think that's wise, but again, if you're going to be packing a cop car, you got a player. Next up is Black Canary. Because of how close that all of these situations are, you can just be like, hey, man, get her in a position. Then she incapacitates everyone that she's adjacent to. And, oh, yeah, she gets +2 to her attack when she does it. So Black Canary is a big threat for lockdown potential in this set. So don't underestimate her. And coming in at a measly 62 points, yeah, really don't underestimate Black Canary. GCPD detective, cheap outwit if you really need it at the end. That's all I can really say for her. GCPD sergeant, it will help you maneuver your police characters if you use the one with the special powers. The one that's like running shot, ranged combat expert, I don't really like that, even though his range is perfect for it. The other thing that is really awesome with the group organizer cover fire dial is once you get to click 2, you get both of his powers, so you can modify defense, and then also you can get leadership and perplex. And when you use leadership, all friendly characters with police team ability are considered to have a lower point value, which can be really strong when you start looking at who has police. Okay, so just scrolling on down the line, the next character that I want us to look at is Dove. And are we looking at crazy damage values? No, but you need something that's going to be able to deal with Big Barda, or at least force Barda to do her double power action. Okay, I'm going to repeat this. You need something that can deal with Big Barda or force her to do her double power action. All right, now, Big Barda only gets phasing when she does her double power action. She does not possess phasing. Okay, and that's the big thing that I want you all to remember. And let me go back. I'm going to go back to the Batman set and go to Big Barda. Okay, Boom Tube. Once per game, give Big Barda a double power action to use phasing teleport as if she had a range value of 12. After actions resolve, you may give Big Barda a close combat or ranged combat action as a free action. Okay, pure and simple, she does not have phasing teleport. So that means that she can be tied up and with a 4 damage and 2 doves or a dove sitting next to her, with her having 1 or 2 action tokens, she is going to be afraid. And the moment that she clears, she has a choice. She can either A, stay there and get hit with an exploit weakness attack for 4, then 3 damage, and then be close to dead, or she can boom tube away. Rolling to break away would be too risky. Okay, so no. If you know that Barda would not be optimal for getting an attack off that turn, rushing with 2 doves on her is not a bad idea. In all honesty, it is not a bad idea. And I would even more so say that having Dove, again, it's not crazy damage output on your average character, but it shuts down a character that you are guaranteed to see at this tournament. All right, going on. My next pick is Dr. Hurt. Yeah, because he has outwit, shape change, and support, and an 11 attack, which means he can just about almost auto heal anybody. And with a hired henchman, he is awesome. Also, he has the ability to use mind control. And when a friendly character is adjacent to Dr. Hurt, make a attack roll. Adjacent to Dr. Hurt makes an attack roll that misses, and the roll is doubles. Remove an action token from a friendly character that was not the attacker. So that can help you on all sorts of other things because it doesn't value line of sight. And then also you have a reason to have like those little guys take pot shots. And so they can miss, and then you can take an action token off of, whoever big gun, and then be like, hey man, they attacked last turn. Now they're going to attack this other turn. So again, yes, you're going to say, well, Dark Logos, I still have to roll doubles. Yeah, so what? Still, how bad could it be? Moving on. The next character on the list for us to look at, mainly, I don't want to say for its novelty, But just for the pure fact that we can do some very, very, oh gosh, I was about to make a pun. Anyway, we can do some very strong stuff. It was ice. And the main reason that we're looking at ice is that ice will allow us to put up barrier. Ice will allow us to end cap. And at the end of the dial, ice is giving us an 18 defense in defend. Now let's take that back. Let's take that step by step. We got running shot end cap, so we can get into position. We have barrier to stop off our opponent. If we do get hit by a standard attack, we have 18 defend. So, and think about this: 18 defend plus combat reflexes. Most of your standard characters are, with a lack of a better word, melee. So they have a 10 attack on average. So they're going to have to roll a 10 or higher to hit if the character you're defending has combat reflexes. That's good. Yes, she has to take a hit, but she is a pure support piece. Unfortunately, she is as fragile as ice. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I couldn't resist it. Anyway, moving on to the next pick, and that's Calendar Man. In the future, Calendar Man shall be a very, very awesome, scary figure for his points. But in this situation, he's just threatening. He's not scary. He's just threatening. Having stealth, probability control, and energy explosion is okay. All the other things that you can tack on to Calendar Man, go for it. If you can get it off, go for it. But definitely just think of Calendar Man and his ability to, have Batman enemy and what that means in context of this meta. All right. Next up, for your consideration, and then I really do think that he has a place, is Scarecrow. Scarecrow can put out Smoke Cloud as a free action. Friendly characters occupying hindering terrain token placed by the Smoke Cloud are considered as lower points when used for Mastermind. So that has an advantage if you really do want to keep him up, on clicks 2 or 3. If you go and look at Maniaphobia, Scarecrow can use Incapacitate as if he had 3 targets. When he does, instead of giving each hit target an action token, he may instead deal penetrating damage to the targets equal to the number of action tokens on each target. So this one, I have to go back and find out how they ruled this. Does this kick in after the attack roll happens and before the token is placed, or after the token is placed? So just wondering. But for the pure fact that you can get that penetrating damage off, can be very, very strong. So definitely worth considering. The end dial poison is more like icing on the cake before he burns out. So that's the best thing I can say on that. Zazas, you can play him. He's cheap and he would work, but he's mainly just cheap harass. Definitely cheap harass. All right, my man Omac, the real robot, the original, processing unit. Okay, Omac is viable, and you guys always like, I don't see it. I don't like how he can be viable. Omac is viable. Okay, once we get him onto his click 2, it's game on. And the main reason I say it's game on is this. He has 8 range. Yes, we're overpaying for our range. But he's got 4 clicks of charge. He has Pulse Wave. He has Toughness and then into Invulnerability. He has Quake. He has Super Strength and 18D when he first starts off having it. He has Regen. He has Phasing. He can pretty much handle himself. He can take a hit from Barda and be like, oh, well, that hurt. I'm just going to get away and heal now. And Barta can't do anything about it. Okay, so I would say for your build, definitely consider him. He's going to be overlooked. Folks are going to be like, who's that guy? And once you place him next to somebody, and he's grounded, so a flyer can just go up there and place him next to somebody, and you just say, hey man, perplex up my attack to an 11, and I'm going to Kamehameha punch you in the face for 5 damage. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Yeah, I mean, you're not getting this level of damage output, and then he's not having to really be afraid of Dove because he has a 3 damage. So definitely think about Omac. Yes, is he as broken as Remac on this map? No, he's not. But he is able to do a lot. Heck, you could team up Omac and Remac. There you go. You know, great ideas come from great people. My next pick for us to look at is Batman, and I'm talking about the Batman on the motorcycle. Yeah, I've skipped a whole lot of things, and I will be coming back. But the Batman on the motorcycle, when you combine his effect in the Bat Cycle, it's just a little too much for the average player to handle. And then not only that, with their interactions, getting that +1 to attack and defense on the Bat Cycle, that's just ridiculously good. Add in Outwit, and I mean, yeah, you just say, hey, David Kane, just sit over here by me so that we can be bestest friends. So that's something to consider. And then I will go on to actually talk about the Batman himself as an actual figure instead of just him as a Deus Ex Machina, so to speak. The smoke cloud is useful. The 90 points, I can understand how some people would say is a little bit high. But for the pure fact that he can either use charge or running shot, gives him the flexibility that he needs on this map. The upfront Outwit is nice. The smoke cloud is nice, but I would definitely look at him. All right, going back up. Going back over all those things that you're gonna be like, Dark Logos, you skipped it. Are you gonna talk about the Trinity? No, really not. I so had hopes for that Wonder Woman though. But she doesn't fit well in this situation, sadly. First up is Void. Void is our perfect support piece. She's going to get us into the fight. She's going to take us out of the fight. She's going to allow us to be on the run and heal. She's going to be carrying our hired henchmen so Void can get those heals off more frequently. You know, we have Barrier to be really annoying. We have a lot of elements that will allow us to just be a royal pain to our opponent. Pure and simple. Okay? Now, with that being said, she can be taken out with a charge flurry. So don't get too reckless with her. And yes, the new rules on barrier have not kicked in yet, so she does have a 0 range barrier. Okay. Next up is David Kane. And if you don't know why to pick David Kane, just think about all the times I've mentioned him before even getting to David Kane. The Deadly Mentor is in this set and in this limited amount of circumstances is one of the most powerful traits that you are going to be up against. And so definitely expect your opponent to have it. Now, also, he is not unique, people. So if someone has multiple David Kanes, that's where I feel it's going to get scary. I'm going to give you the situation, and I'm not saying this for you to get paranoid, but I want you to understand the full strength of this. 25-point Alfred from the Fast Forces, if it's allowed. The Bat Cycle in piloted mode. 2 David Canes that are mentoring the Bat Cycle. 2 enhancements, 2 leaderships, 2 perplexes. The Bat Cycle already gets +1 attack, +1 defense. The enhancement will up your damage twice. And, oh yeah, did I forget about leadership taking tokens off? And I still have a perplex. So, in this format, the David Kane is really strong. And then you go on and add in the element of, oh, look, he helps all of my Batman enemies become better since he has an 11 attack for cheap. So you can't ignore, oh, look, he has low damage, because pretty much he has penetrating damage no matter what he does. And so that means on average he's technically doing 2, or I mean, he actually would, if he had his real damage value painted out without the penetrating put in, he would be doing around 4 damage, 3 to 4 damage. That's pretty good. And again, I'm saying that if he didn't have, Psychic Blast, or if he didn't have Exploit Weakness. So definitely, get David Kane. If your friend is not playing his, borrow his, and if you have one, play both. Like A+, and definitely play both if you have a Bat Cycle. All right, going up to my next pick. I've hated on her. I've said so many bad things about her, but this is her time to shine, and that is Lady Shiva. Lady Shiva, starting off with an 11 attack, Blaze Claw's Fangs, and combat reflexes. At an 18 defense means it's a 20 up close. Her second click, she gets to use her special power of Flurry, and when she does, and the results of the attack is doubles, damage dealt by the attack is penetrating damage. Wow, penetrating Blaze Claw's Fangs, people, with Flurry. If there was a master assassin in this set, in this formula, it would be her. This is the character that, yes, be glad she's unique, because in the moment that she runs through this map, you are going to be so afraid. Before, at one point in time, I would have said Deathstroke, but I would say pick him at your own discretion. He's not bad, but at the same time, he's not that awesome, considering the amount of Henry terrain that's on the map. So it's up to you. His values are good, but I do think there's better options for you to play. I was going to say Starfire as well, but we are overpaying for her range just a tad. Her Outsiders comes in at a reasonable point cost, but we're looking at situations where the lane is going to be clogged very frequently. So I don't think she's going to get off as many shots as you may want. And then definitely if you start on that lower ground, you are going to be paying for a character that's going to do very little in your game. So, I mean, it's up to you. But is she bad overall? No, but this map is not her friend. Now speaking of characters, I don't like Crux. I actually hate Crux as a figure design. But Crux can be that shock trooper distraction that you may need to get somebody else in to do whatever they need to. Outwit up front, plasticity on click 2 and onward, poison, eventually, close combat expert. There's potential. There is potential. I really hate to say it like that. But yeah. Anyway, moving on. I would say if we talk about the motorcycles, Bat Cycle, definitely play. Robin Cycle, it's the poor man's Bat Cycle. So if you either don't have the points or don't have a Bat Cycle, play the Robin Cycle. The GCPD Cycle, I would say in this format, you actually are better off playing it on non-piloted mode just so that it can have access to barrier. And you know, if you have range characters or characters that just need to get into position, I think 19 points for that taxi is pretty good. So those are the big things to consider. And oh yes, make sure you get your bat signal if you're not going to play the utility belt. Really quickly going through No Man's Land and the fast forces. For No Man's Land, lockup is really not useful as you might want him to be. But upfront leadership can be nice. And I would say coming in at 69 points for 6 clicks is not too bad, but I do think there are better uses of your 69 points. After that is Batgirl. And if you have her, play her. If you have, you know, two, play two. Because in this situation, she's really, really strong. Now, with that being said, she will need Alfred. No lie, she needs Alfred or a hired henchman because once she takes a shot, she's really no good. Yeah, she's no good for maximum damage output. So you're gonna have to play her as a glass cannon. She's not Nightwing, okay? Um, you can get her into position if she takes some damage. Yes, she can haymaker and do close combat expert for 3 damage with willpower and all of that good fun stuff. But her charge flurry days are done. Um, the bat signal as well. The bat signal really, really helps her out. So definitely think about that. Now, you can say that the incapacitate has some value, but I would say there are better incapacitators. Poison Ivy. Speak of really, really good characters. Poison Ivy has the ability to mix with Aaron Cash really well, definitely when she starts dealing with her plant power. Then also when she can use her control over all vegetation, give Poison Ivy a power action and choose. And I would say reclaim the land. Wow. And I'm gonna be also a little bit more honest. Do not use reclaim the land frequently until your map flips. Once your map flips, reclaim the land is ridiculous. Because what you just say is destroy a plant object and end a wall or a square of blocking terrain adjacent to the plant object. Okay. So what you're able to do is just say, bam, I put a plant object down. Okay, I'm going to destroy this wall here. Oh, they're hiding over there. So when I destroy this wall, now there's more hindering terrain, which I can then put a plant object in. Or no, you can't put a plant object in it. But I can destroy just walls from various places. I'm gonna check something out here real quick. Yeah, it's just like I suspected. Okay, there are one, two, three, four. Actually, I'll just count them as general areas. One, two, three general areas in around the checkered board part that she could just destroy those walls, and because she could just be able to put plants there. So that's a big thing. The other thing is that she can get plant objects into let's see, is that square hindering terrain or there's one part that's elevated. I think that's hindering terrain. Square B4 on the Joker side of the map. I think that's hindering terrain. I am not quite sure. It's got like an orange border in part of it. I don't know if that's just like a color glitch or something. So and yeah, so she can put her poison tokens all over this place. So there are places where it's going to be very, very concerning if you're facing poison ivy, of where you can't go or be near because of her plans. And so I really want you to be mindful of that. And yeah, she has to be within 5 squares to put those terrain markers up, so she just can't put them anywhere willy nilly. But all of a sudden, she can put a plant token inside of a piece of hindering terrain where a character is at, and then the next turn it into blocking terrain, and it's going to automatically eject that character out of that square. Again, it's printed hindering terrain, mind you, but still. Because if it was, and then I do see the abuse in the future. It's like, hey, I put out smoke cloud, it's hindering terrain. Oh, look, here's a plant. Oh, okay, next turn I turn it into, mighty oak. Okay, you take 1 automatically because you're in blocking terrain. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said. I still think that it's really, really good. And then also she has, after resolution of a move action by poison ivy, place a plant object in a square she occupied or moved through. That action, that plant object is immobile. Object that can't be destroyed if it's dealt, is an immobile object that can be destroyed if it's dealt 1 damage. Poison ivy considers squares adjacent to or occupied by plant objects as adjacent to her. Poison ivy can draw lines of fire and count range in squares from the square of any single plant object. So this is another thing. I'm going to say this, and you're going to be like, no, you didn't. Why you need to be really afraid of poison ivy? And then it's like, hold on, wait, Dark Logos, you're dragging this out. You're trying to get blood from a stone. Okay. Stealth. I hide in stealth. Okay. I go and I move around, and I decide that I'm going to put a plant marker into this hindering terrain I moved into, or into this square I passed through. Okay. Next up, I decide, oh, okay, I'm going to, move back toward the starting area. What I have done is I've created a forward position in which any of my characters can go to get healed by poison ivy in the starting area. Now, here's the thing, and this is why I say that. Poison ivy considers squares adjacent to or occupy plant objects as adjacent to her. So she can use support through those plant objects. And you guys were sort of like wondering, like, why is he so hardcore about getting that poison ivy? Here you go. So poison ivy can be that one support piece that just changes a lot of stuff. And she can be support, she can be harass, because it's going to be a scary time when poison ivy moves up and then puts a plant object right next to a character that has no damage reduction and also has 2 tokens. Oh, poison. Yeah. Also, she can use blades, claws, fangs, people, and mind control, as if she had like a range of 4. So don't underestimate poison ivy. Do not. Definitely no man's land poison ivy. Just play it safe. Look for the moment that they get too cocky with her and kill her. There's too much on the line for you not to. All right. The only thing that I am going to say, I'm going to give an addendum. And here is my addendum for you all. And I know this seems a little bit raw. because it is, and it's new information that, you know, again, it popped into my lap when I looked at these maps. First off, if you go to venue 1 and they allow you to use what you have run from venue 1 at venue 2, then yeah, you can go and play and be that guy that plays the, you know, the new back cowl, or even the back cave if you want it. And yes, they will have grand tactical advantages for your team. What I will say, from a community standpoint, and just from a guy that doesn't promote greed, don't be the douchebag that goes and from venue 1 that's already won the Bat Cave, and then play it at venue 2, or even more so, play it at venue 2, win at venue 2, and keep both. Don't be that guy. I really do implore you all not to be that guy. This is a very positive event. This is something that encourages people to come out and play. I know it's cutthroat. I know you could trade that Batcave for tons of stuff, but I'm asking you all not to be greedy. Just please don't be greedy. Okay? Now, let's talk about the Batcave. The Batcave has so much stuff for new meta that I will have to dedicate like a whole show to the Batcave. But as it stands now, you pretty much get almost every standard power with the Batcave. Just about almost every standard power. The next thing the Batcave gives you is Outsiders. It gives you, on your defensive click, because you have to roll it like I think every turn, it gives you Outsiders, Superman TA, Justice League on your defensive clicks. Then it gives you Mystics, Superman TA, and I thought there was another TA on here. Yeah, so Superman and Mystics on your... sorry, offense is JLA, Superman, Outsiders. Defense is Superman, Mystics. So they're giving you every opportunity to be stealth and outwit through stealth. So, or attack through stealth. There's a lot of shenanigans on here. Okay. I'm going to just read off some important things I feel that are good with the Batcave and that you need to keep in mind. I'm not going to read it all, but I do encourage you to go to figures.com or heroclix.com and read it. And actually, I'm going to tell you this. Press pause now and go read. All right, you're back. Great. All right, so I'm just going to bring out what I feel is the key things. Force construction. The Batcave costs 85 points and is assigned to a character when you build your force. This character can be assigned a utility belt. It's freaking stupid. Resource with a utility belt costume and up to 6 utility belt items at no cost. Stupid. Okay. So your prime, you have this prime character that can receive not just the Batcave for 85 points, but the resource dial. Okay, for the utility belt. The Batcave can be assigned to additional characters for 10 points each. Okay, so you have your prime guy that's assigned to, and you have everybody else who's assigned to. So your prime guy gets the utility belt. The Batcave adds Batcave computer to your force. Okay, the Batcave can be played at a cost of 100 points. If you do, the Batcave adds Batcave computer and Alfred to your force. The Batcave can't be assigned to either of these characters. Okay, so first off, what does this mean? The Batcave computer and Alfred Pennyworth are character dials. They are not your resource. If the Batcave character dials get KO'd, that's KO'd. You still have your Batcave. You cannot assign Batcave shenanigans to the Batcave computer or Alfred Pennyworth. Okay? Just to make that clear. Now, What you can do is, for that huge size that the Batcave is, you can heal in adjacency to all of that. Now, how this is going to work for weird starting areas, I don't know how this is going to happen in the future, but this is just going to be ridiculous. Okay, next up is that it's in your starting area, and it can't be moved or placed or anything, which is sort of funny, because if you play a game in which the highest point character on your field is the back computer or whatever, then there's no way Chase Thanos can ever summon you. But then you have a whole different set of problems of how you're going to kill Chase Thanos. But anyway, all squares occupied by the Batcave are considered to be clear terrain. Now, that is a key thing. So your opponent can shoot through the Batcave. Remember, you can shoot through the Batcave. You and your opponent can both shoot through the Batcave. If that isn't weird in and of itself, I don't know what else is. Now, at the same time, I think something has to be clarified and I'll have to look at it more closely. Is the Batcave gridded so that then I can move on top of the Batcave? I don't know. But it would also sort of explain how they expect to deal with the abnormal starting areas. So since it's considered clear terrain, you could just put it up on elevation 1, 2, or 3, and it can stutter step all at once. It's clear terrain. It's not actually a character, or sort of. Yeah, I know that's weird. Anyway, going on. Your Batcave computer, it can only attack characters within a certain range, or if there's like no other characters left on the field, then it can just shoot anybody anywhere, which is ridiculous. But it only has 8 clicks, and it's not super broken. But what is strong is those first few clicks are ridiculous. 11 attack, Psychic Blast, Shape Change, 17 defense with Invuln. Yeah, that's just a bit strong. And we can ignore special powers. Also, the Batcave allows you to summon an Alfred, either the one from the Gravity Feed or from the one from the Batman set. Yeah. So that's a bit strong too. And I think that's of all the things that definitely shouldn't have been allowed. But anyway, going on. Security defense. This is a trait of the Batcave computer. Batcave computer can't be targeted by opposing characters more than 4 squares away. Batcave computer combat values can't be modified or replaced, which, yeah, it's sort of okay. When other friendly characters are on the map, Batcave computer may attack. When other friendly characters are on the map. Batcave computer may only attack adjacent characters and characters that have attacked it since your last turn. When when all friendly characters have been defeated, Batcave computer may target opposing characters regardless of range or line of fire. Batcave computer can't be healed. That's a lot. And then it has Alfred Pennyworth dial has a special power, and that special power he gets according to the dial near like on its last click, and it's called "Hey, come Alfred, I need you." Actually, it's "Come Alfred, I need you." I added a "Hey" on there. Give Alfred Pennyworth the power action. Place a Batman set number 31 or Batman Fast Forces number 5. Alfred Pennyworth from outside of the game into a space adjacent to the Batcave on click number 3. And now for Alfred, that's the one from the Batman set. You've just done him favors, okay? The Batcave is assigned to that character at no cost. After actions resolve, deal this character one unavoidable damage. Okay, so now they're not talking about the new Alfred. They're talking about the Alfred on the dial. Okay, so you don't get to cheat. Okay. Now the other thing is he also has fully stocked ER. Alfred Pennyworth can use support. When he does, he can heal a friendly character, even if he or the friendly character are adjacent to an opposing character. Oh gosh. So pretty much now, what it means for your Batcave is that if you have a Batcave and you decide to play it in this event, and your big Barda is just ridiculously broken down, guess what? You can just make your last stand by the Batcave, and Alfred will just keep on trucking on, trying to heal uh, Big Barda or whoever else until they get all better. Yeah, pretty much. So that's something to be considered. The other thing that we might want to think about is if we're seriously going to consider now the Joker and Harley Quinn, and you're going to be like, Dark Logos, this is bad. This is so bad. Why are you even recommending this? I am presenting this as something more along the lines of ridiculous amounts of control. Um, you know how we talked about if we looked at the map, you get in these positions where you can clog the lane really, really bad. Now, if you look at there's the main reason I'm even mentioning them is is two things. First off, they get a special power for pretty much all their dial that gives them stealth and plasticity. The next thing is diabolical death trap that they get for their first two clicks. That's really the only reason why I'm bringing this up. They also can. Well, I'll take that back. They also get unpredictable and unstable, where they can use perplex twice in one turn, as long as they have dual attack on their own combat values, which means they can up their defense to a 19 from everything, uh, unless they get outsiders, of course. But or their attack to a 12 or movement to an 8 or damage to a 3. So they can live. Yeah, they can live. They can survive. Now, the Diabolic Death Trap pretty much allows you to do a power action. You put a death trap adjacent to Harley Quinn, the Joker and Harley Quinn, and it has to be a square in which an opposing character is occupied. You have plasticity. They only break away on a 6 now. Okay, so they have to make a decision. Do they stay there or they don't? Or get carried away or TK'd away? Or try to roll breakaway? Okay, now what ends up happening is, let's see here. I think when's the timing for that? At the beginning, okay, let's see. Give the Joker and Harley Quinn a power action, place a death trap marker in a square occupied by an adjacent opposing character. When opposing character occupies that square with a death trap, makes a marker attempts to move, it must roll to break away, even if it normally breaks away automatically. So this includes Remac. Uh, at the beginning of your turn, the Joker and Harley Quinn may be given a free action to deal 1 penetrating damage to an opposing character occupying a square with a death trap marker. Now, where does this become an issue? You can death trap somebody like Big Barda, bring up some doves, and be like, "Hey, buddy, what you gonna do?" She's gonna be like, "I'm going to phase," and then you're gonna say, "Nope, death trap. You got to roll to break away." And if she fails, guess what? She's stuck. Now, Here's the thing though. When she rolls a breakaway, or if anybody rolls a breakaway, if they're still adjacent to Joker and Harley Quinn, I'm going to make the assumption, again, I could be wrong, and I'm willing to be wrong, that because she now has to roll, the effects of plasticity would kick in. So she would only break away on 6. That is my assumption. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. That's fine. So that's the only reason that we're actually even considering them lightly. And again, that's if and only if you were able to get Joker and Harley Quinn and play them at the next venue. I'm going to briefly talk about why the Penguin dial is valid, and in the Penguin if you want to use them. All right, so here's why the Penguin is actually useful. We play 10 points for him. Okay, he gives us either Force Blast, Energy Shield, Toughness, or Outwit. And you might be like, really? Do we really want to do that? Okay. Here's the other thing. We get stat modifications depending on the dial. And also, if we do a non-free action, then yeah, of course, we have to turn the dial and roll the dice. And how we roll the dice is going to determine how many clicks we turn it. But when we start looking really, really closely for these 10 points, this is the most balanced dial that we've ever gotten. We can either get +2 movement, -1 attack, +2 attack, +2 movement, -1 damage, +2 attack, -1 damage, -1 movement, +2 damage, -1 attack, +2 damage. So we have those variable options. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Also, if it gets KO'd, it gets KO'd. I mean, it actually can go away. So that sort of sucks. But if you roll a 1 in turning, you remove the Penguin from the game and heal the chosen character 1 click. So that's pretty good because you get to at least heal. Now, as a character, he is ridiculous because 51 points. He is able to use Exploit Weakness and Energy Shield Deflection. And being able to use Mind Control is just pretty cool for 51 points. He eventually gets to Toughness, Close Combat, Expert, and then he sort of wraps up with Blaze Claw's Fangs and Mastermind, but he has an 11 attack with Blaze Claw's Fangs. So that is pretty fun too. 2 range, whatever. I think the beginning dial, if you're really paying attention, you can do a lot. Folks are going to think that you have a 2-range mind control if they're not paying attention. So, does the Penguin have a place? He can. So I want you to think about that. The Bat Cow, if you're going to be playing a resource dial, you definitely want the Bat Cow. That's some good stuff right there. Now, I don't like the Suit of Sorrows, but I do know the Bat Cow it has its advantages. Now, anyway, so that is it. Oh, no, it's not. Oop, I forgot. I was supposed to talk about the Fast Forces. I got too caught up in the No Man's Land stuff. Real quickly on the Fast Forces. The Streets of Gotham Fast Forces, I recommend Oracle because she allows your Justice League characters to move out, which there are a couple. And definitely she shifts to Perplex, which as it stands right now is still pretty good. In the future, it's not going to be as good. Also, I would say take a look at Hawk. Hawk is manly good. Is he as good as OMAC? No, but he doesn't have to activate. So, it's really good values that you can get. And then also, if you play any doves on the map, you modify his increase his defense by +1 until the beginning of your next turn. And if Dove is within 8 squares in line of fire, Hawk may replace his defense value with Dove's unmodified defense value, which is pretty good at most of the times. So think about that. So those two are what I recommend from the Fast Forces. And from the Batman Fast Forces, I recommend the Batman because he has Psychic Blast, and you need somebody to deal with Barda. And just straight up 3 damage Psychic Blast base. I mean, that's really good for this format. And that in and of itself is something worth considering. Yes, I do know that it's not going to be real easy to get those shots off. Definitely on Barda, since Barda can hide behind so much blocking terrain. But I do want you all to just think that it is a viable option to consider. The next character that I want you to actually look at is that 25-point Alfred. If for nothing else, to pilot the Bat Cycle. Definitely pilot the Bat Cycle. Or the Robin Cycle, depending on what you have. Batgirl is okay. Heroclix 2 is your main thing that you're looking at. Damian Wayne, 50 points with charged blades. He can actually do something. Just I wouldn't play any character named Robin or Red Robin on your team. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. Okay, so for those that have listened for so long, I have a prize. That's what you heard me digging around for. And this is a first come, first served prize, and I'll have the rest of these codes up on my blog at random points in time. That's right, HCO codes. So it's M like Mary, A like Adam, B like Barry, O like oblong, Q like question, 2, R like Randy, H like horse, 7, 2, A like Andy, 5. I'm ripping it up now. So who knows? Someone will get it. And if you're listening to this from the way future, who knows? Somebody may not have collected that code yet. So I'm just throwing it out to you. All right. Show's way longer than what I wanted it to be. So hit me up at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Again, man, big ups to Mr. Adler for giving me this graphic. I really appreciate it. I'm a big boy show now with a serious graphic. Also, hit me up on Twitter. That's @StartOverPod. That's @StartOverPod. I don't really tell people to subscribe anymore because YouTube is a bear. If you subscribe to several more popular channels than my show, then guess what? You're most likely not going to know when my show updates. And that's the way YouTube rolls. So I would definitely tell you, hit me up on Twitter. You could say, hey, Dark Logos, if we subscribe to you, would that help? I'm sitting around 100-something viewers subscribed. And I get around 100-something views per show. But the trade-off is, it gets to be a little bit more personal. It gets to be a little bit more intimate. But I also do realize with having that few views in general, I'm not going to really pop up to the head of the search engine for Heroclix. So yeah. All right. Also check out the blog. It's usually in the link below the video. I'm at startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com. And then also, this is a note about last podcast. I talked about I talked about the bat signal being immobile after I read the player's guide. Well, the player's guide was wrong. And then I put a note in the correction to correct that underneath the video, and then people didn't see that. That I put a note right below the video in the show notes. So definitely do try to look at the show notes. Most of the time, 9 times out of 10, there's really nothing in there. But if I do find out something, and I do try to correct that and put in the show notes instead of having to like re-record a whole show. Trust me, the audio editing some days is annoying. All right, but that's mostly it. If there's anything that you want to have me talk about, let me know. If you had questions about your No Man's Land month 6, sort of throw some, hit me up. I'll try to throw some ideas at you. I will preference, I don't build your team for you. I'll repeat that again. I don't build your team for you. You got to come with something. Tell me, what type of player you are and what you're thinking about. So I really don't mind helping people, but I'm not going to build your team for you. So that's it. I am going to go back and play Injustice, and I found the one game that I can give George Masu a run for his money now and then. And also, George Masu plays Black Adam on Injustice. Okay, so yeah, he's hardcore about it. I play Nightwing mainly in Oliver Queen, which is sort of hilarious. They're both sort of cheap. But anyway, all right, that's it. Thanks for listening. And remember, we all have to start over sometime.
I'm into comic books, figures on the wall. She's into looking good, Vicky C's got a law. And she loves my flaws, yeah, she's not ashamed. I'm a Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. She's my Mary Jane, she's my Mary Jane. I'm her Peter Parker, she's my Mary Jane. I'm a big nerd around her, but she's cool around me. Never knew how she found me. Electric, but she grounds me. And she loves my flaws, she accepts them all. When the darkness comes, I will get the call. I will swing down the city.